What's good, guys? Welcome back on the channel. It's time to make some Serie A content, man. Like, what's going on with the rest of Serie A? Let's look at some of the incomings and outgoings of Serie A of all the other teams. It's not all just about Inter. Well, it is, but for today, it's not. And before we get into it, make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to use the transfer marked wrap-up of the Serie A transfers up until now. As you can see, the league is worth 5 billion euros, apparently, according to Transfermarkt. Lautaro Martinez is the most valuable player with 95 million euros. And sadly, as is the state of things, the total balance of the Italian Serie A at the moment is 55 million euro, which means Italy Serie A is in the green. So the Serie A clubs have spent 950 million euros, and this is via Transfermarkt, their numbers. But the incomings is 950 million, but they've spent 895, which actually means that Serie A clubs have spent less than they've sold for. If I showed you the Premier League balance, you would puke. You would actually physically throw up. So let's not do that. That is unfortunately the reality of the situation. It is what it is. It is what it is. But let's get into it. Let's look at some of the transfers as they are ranked here. I've not chosen the ranking. I've not really looked at this. So this is looking at it in a fresh mind with you guys. And start off with Antonio Conte's Napoli, who actually today, there's a big news if you didn't see it. Romelu Lukaku is out for at least 2 to 3 months, apparently, according to the reports. He got injured in pre-season. We saw it at Inter. When Lukaku gets these big injuries, he's got a lot of body mass, a lot of muscle on him. Takes him a while to get back. So that was a big, big news. And Napoli might have to dip back into the Mercato to buy another striker now because they loaned out Giovanni Simeone. But let's have a look. Incomings, Berkema, who I liked as a potential centre-back option for Inter. They signed him for 31 million plus bonuses. Noah Lang, very, very talented Dutch winger, plays like Neymar. I think he thinks he's Neymar. He's got an ego the size of Neymar, but I don't think this is going to pan out. But it's a good purchase in terms of 25 million euros. Should be an upgrade or, at least competition for David Neres, Politano, etc. But I don't think his personality, his style is going to gel with Antonio Conte. I just don't see that fitting in at all. And I'm a content creator. I have to make some big claims. I'm going to say Noah Lang is going to be one of the flops of this upcoming Serie A season. That's it. I said it. Let's see if it happens or not. Milinkovic-Savic finally gets a big team move. Probably deserved it from Torino to give Merit some competition. Good move. Marianucci, young centre-back, 9 million euros. If it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter too much. But I'm interested to see Conte is good at developing centre-backs. Lorenzo Luca finally also got his big move. I think the final fee is around 25-30 million euros, if I remember correctly. And, he's 24. We're not talking about a young player. Definitely it's time to step up. Hopefully he does, especially in the absence of Romelu Lukaku. Now he has to step up. Let's see if he can cope with the pressure and with the demands of a big team, and hopefully helps the Italian national team in the future. And I think the other guys, Ferran Terrao, these are probably, something related to the youth team. And of course, KDB. KDB is in Serie A. Looking a little bit podgy at the moment, a little bit overweight, but I'm sure Conte and his staff will get that sorted out in the coming days. But yeah, overall, this is a solid window, I would say. How would you guys grade it incoming-wise? I think this is a solid B. I mean, it improves the starting 11, or it at least challenges the players in the starting 11. Merit has some challenge. Maybe I think Milinkovic-Savic could be even a starter over Merit. DKDB is going to be a bit of a question mark. Like, where is Conte going to fit him in? Actually, now speaking B minus, and now let's see if they can get a striker to replace Lukaku in the injury period. And they got rid of a lot of players that they didn't want. Of course, they managed to, this itself, selling Osimhen and sticking to the fee of 75 million euros to Galatasaray is amazing. And the fact that I think they've even put in a clause in that they can't sell him to a Serie A club for the next 2 years at least. It's an amazing deal by De Laurentiis. Getting 20 million plus for Raspadori as well, who had a pretty very average 2 years. Really has some big goals, but didn't really set the world alight, and he hasn't pushed himself further in the national team either. Got money for Nathan, Elie Caprile, Gaetano. Got rid of Lindstrom, Kajust, Rafa Marin, Simeone, Ngonj, Folarunsho, Zerbin. So, all players that weren't starters and are not really, they're not losing any sleep over this. So overall, their balance is they've made more money at the moment. That's probably because of the Osimhen deal, but I think there is more left in the tank for Napoli. I think there's a B minus. Inter, I mean, I don't want to spend too long. We spend enough time talking about Inter. I was very happy with these 4 signings at the beginning of the transfer window, but now this hasn't moved the needle in the starting 11 at the moment. Inter need to do more. This at the moment is just a, C minus for now. But then, of course, if this remains to be the only signings by the end of the window, then it goes to a D. But at the moment, I'll give it a C minus. And sales wise, we only really got rid of the guys with that are young and have value. So again, outgoing wise, I'm not impressed yet until we get rid of Taremi, Aslani, those types of players that we need to get rid of. This remains a pretty lackluster window where at the moment Inter actually made more money according to Transfermarkt as well. Atalanta now, they're having a very difficult summer, starting off with the sales first, getting rid of the top scorer, and we know the Ademola Lookman situation, whether he's going to Inter or not. That guy wants to leave. He's not training. He's not turning up. He's going as well. They sold Ruggeri. Difficult summer. They've brought in Kosunu, who was on loan last year. Decent signing, a centre-back. Sulemana, this is a very, very wild card signing. Amazing in terms of his dribbling stats, pace. But one of those very, plays with his gut. Like, he just, very low IQ type of winger. He just, wants to take on this player, very low final product. But Gasperini has shown in the past that he can mold players like this. Honest Anaho, wing back, signed for big money. This is big money. This guy only had a few appearances at Genoa. 17 years old, young Italian with Nigerian roots. I have not seen much of him, so I can't really judge, but it's always good to see this with Atalanta. They're always good at developing young players. On the Juric, though, I don't know about that. Samadzic and Brescianini is just the redemption of the loans. But yeah, they need to do more. They need to replace Retegui properly because Kamaka isn't enough. And they're obviously they're getting in Zalewski now, so left wing back situation. But I think Atalanta, they're not looking good, to be honest. I think in my prediction, Serie A predictions, Atalanta are not going to be looking too good. I'll be real. Juve, I mean, these guys, really, really weird transfer window. They redeemed both their loanees. I mean, Nico Gonzalez was an obligation. Conceição was an option, which they ended up taking. Both really expensive, but they're already looking like they need to get rid of Nico Gonzalez anyway. Lloyd Kelly is a very controversial signing that Juve fans hate. And then Di Gregorio and Kalulu were just, the redemption of the loans from last year. Jonathan David is a good signing. I would have, liked to see him at Inter on a free. I think he's a good player. But I don't know if that's enough for Juve in terms of attacking. Vlahovic is still there. They haven't managed to get rid of him and his massive salary. Jean Mario is a good wing-back signing, but yeah, I think they need more at centre-back, to be honest. They need more quality at centre-back if I was Juve. And yeah, they sold Fagioli. They sold more promising youngsters that recently they've regretted. And Bangula. Tim Weah's going to Marseille as well. So yeah, with Juve at the moment, I'd give them a C minus or a D even, to be honest. They need to do more if they want to challenge for the Scudetto again. And with Tudor at the helm, not very convincing either. Roma with Gasperini, they have not done enough either as well. Wesley is a big, doubt coming in, a wing back coming in from the Brazilian league. He's going to need time, 25 million euros. It's a big signing. El Ainawi, I've heard good things of him from Lens in Ligue 1, but again, we saw how Enzo Lefebvre fared out last year. Ligue 1 is you need time to adapt. Evan Ferguson, I do like that signing. It's a guy that I would have, I would take a gamble on this guy. Very talented young Irish striker, big frame, good technique, good ball striker. I'm looking forward to seeing him on the Gasperini. Gilardi, that's a good signing from Hellas Verona for centre back. And Davis Vasquez would be a good backup goalkeeper. And outgoings, yeah, Enzo Lefer. They got rid of Dal, Zalewski, Paredes, Shomurodov, Tammy Abraham. So in that sense, they've done well. They got rid of players that just weren't part of the system or not good enough anymore for Roma. So they've done well there. So overall, I give it a C, but they definitely need more. Gasperini's been moaning that they need more. Actually, yeah, C minus, because if Gasperini wants to play with more wingers, it looks like today they're bringing in Leon Bailey, so that's one step. They wanted to bring Sancho, he's not coming, but I think with the Gasperini system, you do need different types of players, and they definitely need to. For Inter, it would be nice to sign Manu Kone, but for Roma, they have to keep him. He is their Edison, as Edison was for Gasperini, Atalanta. Fiorentina, Simon Som, good signing, 50 million euros, but I don't know what system Pioli is playing this season. Pioli is their coach, if you didn't know. They've been toying with the three at the back formation, 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1. Simon Som is more like a Loftus-Cheek type of player. He's kind of like a mezzala, but, you don't want him to get too involved in possession. You want him attacking space and getting into the box. Good signing on paper, but I don't know how it actually fits in. Fagioli, I think, he really deserved to be redeemed. That's a good signing. Fazzini for 10 million euros, a good signing. But again, if they're playing 3-4-2-1, is he really the guy you want behind the strikers? At Empoli he did that, but I don't think that he's good enough to be behind the striker, like a number 10 at Fiorentina. I think he's more of a proper mezzala. Goodmanson redeemed. Edin Dzeko on a free, massive signing to help Moise Kean with the load up front. Mattia Viti on a loan as well from Nice. Yeah, that's decent, but again, has it improved Fiorentina's quality? I'm not really sure. I don't think it's really moved the needle, apart from obviously if Dzeko can. He's 39 though, Dzeko, so he did well in Turkey last year, but yeah, he's 39 now. I know Serie A is a slower league, but let's see. And outgoings, yeah, they just got rid of guys that were on the out. No one that's really, they're losing out on much. So that's good, but they need to do more. Lazio basically done nothing because of their, if you don't know, they had a liquidity index ratio, which they are not meeting at the moment. It's got to do with the liquidity, the cash that the team has, and it's hard to explain. But basically, Lazio can't buy players unless they sell, and they've only sold Loom Chauna and Casale, and they still can't buy at the moment. I think they have to sell more. So all of these signings are actually just redemptions of last year. But they've made this key signing, which is a new coach, Maurizio Sarri, returning. So I think Sarri can cook with that squad already, just like he did previously at Lazio. Reheated soup, but I think Sarri is a guarantee. Quite boring, though. It is boring, Lazio, this year. No signings. Sarri again, very boring. I'll give that. Yeah, you can't give anything to Lazio. That's an E or an F, really, because there's nothing. And yeah, Fiorentina, yes, C minus as well. Moving on to Milan. I mean, these guys have been selling more than buying. Reinders, Thiaw out, Theo, Kalulu, Emerson Real. That's a A-star just for getting rid of him, making the money back. Pobega, Warren Bondo, who signed in January. They got rid of him already. Terracciano's out on loan. Luka Jovic was left to go on a free. Davide Calabria left to go on a free. And incomings, Yashari, of course, big promise, big hype, but probably will need some time to adapt, just like the Reinders did. Ricci, I am jealous of that signing. Conny De Winter, Estupinian, good replacement for Theo, in my opinion. Atekame, I have no idea about him. Terracciano is a free transfer, and obviously Luka Modric, the big name. But again, I think with Allegri at the helm, he would want better, more experienced centre backs. I think that is a worry. I think the back line is a bit worrying. They've sold more than they've bought in, really. I think this is a C minus as well, in my opinion, or even a D plus. Reinders is a big miss, but at the same time, they replaced Reinders with basically three midfielders. Actually, yeah, let's go C minus, because they replaced Reinders with Modric, Yashari, and Ricci. So like one of them surely, or at least two of them, they're gonna hit right. They've gone for quantity Well, you could say quality as well with Modric, but again, similar to Dzeko, he's 39. I know he keeps himself in great shape and he's a model professional, but surely at some point, Father Time catches up to everyone. But it's nice to see Modric in the Serie A. Bologna, I have big doubts on Bologna. Like, how did they go from signing young, exciting players with Giovanni Sartori at the helm to signing Bernardeschi and Ciro Immobile? I give this a D. Vitic to replace Berkema. Casale redeemed. I wouldn't have redeemed him unless maybe it was an obligation. I have no idea about Torbjorn Hegem. That could be a Sartori Moneyball buy for 7 million euros, but I'm not moved by this mercato at all by Bologna. It doesn't sound like a Vincenzo Italiano style market either. I'm rating this a D, to be honest. And this all down and Doe and Berkema. Erlich is a good sale, but yeah, not happy with this Bologna market, in my opinion. Como, now these guys are the big spenders. I mean, look at the balance of Como. They're the one team transfer record. They're minus 90 million. The one Serie A team that's spending more than selling. Well done to them. Jesus Rodriguez, I heard really good things about him from Real Betis. He did look exciting in some of the Europa League games I saw. Nicolas Kuhn from Celtic. He's also, very interesting winger. Baturina, that's a great signing. Great talent from Croatia. Adai, I have no idea about. Perrone, redeemed from Man City. That guy was really nice. I had him earmarked as a potential, into CDM option. And then the other guys are all just redemptions. Morata on loan. I mean, Morata continues his tour of clubs around Europe. For Como is a good signing. For top teams, I don't think you should sign Morata anymore. But for Como, this is a good signing on loan. And they got rid of some of the guys that were probably below their level now. So Como maybe starting to challenge for Europe. I'm going to give them a solid B. That's a B. But I would sign maybe more like a proper centre back. Like I would spend some money on a real proper centre back. They tried to get Varane last year. Remember that didn't work out. But someone like that. Torino, are they going to be just mid-table as usual, 10th, 11th, without anyone noticing them? But at least they're trying to do something a bit different here. Abuklal, exciting winger from Toulouse. Pedersen redeemed. Giovanni Simeone. Cyril Ngonge, Cristiano Baraghi redeemed. Ismaili deserved a bigger team, definitely from Empoli, a centre-back. And Tino Angerin, he's an interesting signing. I really like them at Empoli. But does it really move the needle? I don't think so. They sold some of their bigger players like Ricci, Savage. I think, again, it's going to be a mid-table season from Torino. But for what they can do, I think it's pretty decent. I think it's an interesting mercato. I'll give them like a B- there. Udinese, I have no idea about most of these players here. I know that Nicolo Bertola was linked to Inter. He's an interesting young centre-back talent, signed on a free. I think that will be a good signing that we'll hear about more. Koslitsidze from Empoli, only 4 million euros. That's pretty smart. And redeemed Arthur Atta. I have no idea about Lennon Miller, but yeah, looks like a typical Udinese signing where you sign these unknowns and then they turn out to sell them for like 20, 30 million just a few months later. And they finally got rid of Jacques Bijol. Well, not rid of, they didn't get rid of him. He was their best centre back, but he got his move finally, and Lorenzo Luca. So actually, yeah, they need to get the Lorenzo Luca replacement. So this is a D- at the moment for Udinese. Genoa, I did like the look of Nicola Stanciu. I watched their game the other day. I was looking for Carboni, but this guy stood out on a free transfer. He's the captain of the Romanian national team. Good. Colombo on loan. That's good. Ostigard, back to Genoa again. That's a good signing. Carboni on loan. That's a good signing. I'm not sure too much about Albert Groenbach. And yeah, the only big player they got rid of was really Conny de Vinta, because Goodmanson was already we already knew he was leaving. So that's pretty good. I think I'll give it a C plus. Would be minus for Genoa. Not too bad. Hellas Verona, they're just like, I thought every year I think Hellas Verona have a bad transfer window, but then they all end up banging, or like some random players always end up hitting for them. So again, I have no idea about some of these players. Some of these are just redemptions from last year. But let's keep an eye out for these Hellas Verona player. Coppola is definitely the I think they could have got more money for Coppola. I don't understand how they only sold it for 11 million euros. Angulardi, big misses for them at the back. So for those two losses, really, I'll give them a D minus at the moment, or an E. Cagliari actually spent quite a bit of money. Like, look how much money they spent on Piccoli, Caprile, Gaetano, Adopo, but they didn't have and then they also bought obviously Sebastiano Esposito from Inter, but not really anything to move the needle. Some of these are just redemptions from last year. Fuller is a good loan. I'll give it a C. Parma, I think these guys will do more. They have money to spend, but they haven't spent too much of it till now. They've bought, again, these are completely unknown players to me. Parma, similar to other teams we mentioned before, they do scouting, young players that you have no idea about. Frigan, Ordonez, I've heard good things about him from Argentina. Sorensen, 8 million euros. Abdullah Ndai from Liga. Let's see. Keep an eye out for them. And of course, they sold Giovanni Leone and Boni. And Simon Som these are some big losses, but I'm sure they'll replace him. And Dennis Mann, that will be a big loss. So for the moment, I'm going to give him a D, but I'm sure they're going to do more business. Parma. Lecce, that is very boring. Camarda, at least, hopefully he gets a lot of playing time. Crazy to think he's only still 17. Hopefully he gets playing time and develops there. Ricardo Sotil, can he finally get his shit together and ball out for a team? And the other players I have no idea about. And they sold Baschirotto. Yeah. This is a D for me. They need to do more. Sassuolo, Jay Idzes, Bahasa gang in the house. Happy for him. He deserved to stay in Serie A from Venezia. Valicande from Venezia as well. Muharemovic from Juve Next Gen, who was on loan with them. Ismail Kone, this one's a very interesting one. But I think, they need to do more. Probably up front, I would say they need to do more. Sassuolo, and I think they will. They usually spend money as well. That's, at the moment, this is a C, just for Jades. That's a good signing for centre-back. Pisa. Mbala Nzola, this is a good, Serie A level striker. Scuffet, potentially starting goalkeeper, backup goalkeeper. Quadrado, this is a very weird wild card. 37 years of age. Is he going to be like the main man for them? Or is he going to be just like a soldier wing back? Let's see in what type of Quadrado. Yeah, how they envisioning Quadrado in this Pisa team. And obviously the guy that I'm going to be looking out for, Akin Sanmiro. Abisha, this is a good signing, but they need to do more. They need to do more, Pisa, if they want to stay up. They really need to do more. Centre back, up front, they need more. Cremonese, I think these guys also looking like they could go straight down. But Baschirotto, experienced, proper Serie A centre back level. Petzella is a decent, okay Serie A level left back. Warren Bondo, he was good at Monza, not good enough for Milan, but I think good signing. Terracciano from Milan, Zerbin. This is not too bad. Marco Silvestri, Alberto Grassi, Audero. Actually, this is pretty good. They've done pretty well with a very low budget. I'll give this a B. Not bad from Cremonese. And yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comments down below which team stood out to you, which team needs to do more, which signings seem most interesting to you guys. Let me know in the comments down below. Only just under a week left to Serie A kicking off. I'm starting to get excited. Ciao ragazzi, always, forza